You can't say that yet.
Well, you're about
Yeah, you
to
should
find
know
out.
better than that.
She's trying to trick me. Masters of the Universe Revelation has a premise that's eerily similar to something I wrote 4 years ago.
Masters of the Universe Revelations is a very manly He-Man.
Masters of the Universe Revelation is a throwback to the 80s, but written by Kevin Smith.
Yep. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Falling Towers Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. With us, as always, the best pointer west of the Missouri River, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
I want to know who the best pointer is east of the Missouri River.
I'll
take them on in a pointing contest.
Pointed. We are joined by a very special guest, actress, producer, writer, Kat Geren.
Woo woo.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. I also do woo woo, by the way. So you got competition there.
Competition.
Today, you guys may have guessed, we are reviewing Masters of the Universe Revelation, aka the new He-Man show. It's on Netflix, and episode 1 is called The Power of Grayskull. If you'd like us to review a show, in the comments below, say WTF and that show. That stands for Watch the First. Say WTF My Little Pony. Of course, we'll only do it if we get 10 comments that say WTF My Little Pony. Otherwise, the magic doesn't work. Or you could say WTF Different Strokes or WTF Smallville, all in the comments below, and maybe we'll do it.
So it has to be at least 10 comments, though? It can't just be one?
Just for My Little Pony.
Oh, just for My Little Pony.
But you can post 10 comments on one video, all saying My Little Pony.
Right. If we get 10 of those, then we'll do it. Everything else, you only have to say it once. Right now, Katie Carr is like, really? Because I did Once Upon a Time like 50 times. Well,
and the tutors. She always does the same ones that she always recommends.
That means she really wants it, and that means we got to do it at some point.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I think we covered everything. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, please. It's very important. It helps us. It's like cryptocurrency. It's like worth something, but nobody really knows how much, but it helps a lot. So just give us that YouTube currency of likes and subscribes.
Non-fungible tokens.
Of your appreciation.
Newest thing, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 1. This is the big game. It's my favorite game. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. It's predictions. Okay.
Predicaments.
Oh, changing it up. So Michael and I have known each other for over 20 years, and so we can usually predict pretty close if the other guy will like it. Kat hasn't known us that long, but she's really, really smart. So, and actually, I think the first few times you joined us, Kat, you were like spot on every time.
I was on a streak. My most recent one, I dipped a little, but I would like to come back. I'm going to come back strong.
This is it. This is Kat's big comeback. And everybody at home, make your predictions. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Michael liked it? Do you think Kat, the wild card, liked it? My prediction, Michael, is that
Sounds like a sequel to a movie, Kat's Big Comeback.
Yeah. How Kat got her groove back. Michael, I don't know. I don't think you were a big He-Man fan. We did review He-Man, the original He-Man from 1983 already. And Michael, I'm going to cheat a little bit. And
cheating. Cheating's not allowed.
No cheating then. But I think you gave it an okay score. I remember Darnell destroyed it, and I gave it like a 9 or something because I like He-Man. Spoiler.
Yeah, well, now I've...
Well, you know I like the 80s version. Michael, so the point is, I think that you were okay with it. I don't think there was anything that really jumped out at you that you love, like comedy. There wasn't great comedy. There wasn't a ton of good character stuff, you would say. I think that you're going to be a little bit more than lukewarm on it. And Kat, I think you're going to say it's a little less than lukewarm.
Luke Cold.
Luke Skywalker. Who did a voice, by the way, in this.
He did. He did.
Skeletor.
He was Skeletor. Yep.
Oh, interesting.
I am going to say that Ryan did like this. I think that he loved the nostalgia of it, and he loved the new twists on it, and he loved all the different crazy creatures from all over the Eternia. And I think that he's going to be very high on this. Kat, I'm going to think, is thinking, man, why do people like these He-Man shows? Like, why do they even keep making them? Why do people watch them? Who likes these shows, especially the ones from the 80s? That's my thoughts on that.
All right. Well, my prediction is that Ryan loved this. Loved it. I think he probably watched it a second time, maybe even a third time. and perhaps the whole series. I think he might have cheated and watched the whole series. Michael, I think you liked it. I think a little bit more than lukewarm.
Whoa.
I think you liked it.
Luke Hot.
Yep. Gull Luke Hot.
Luke Medium.
So everybody at home, you've gotten some hints, and Michael's going to buy you another 30 or 40 seconds of time, but this is your last chance. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Michael liked it? How much do you think Kat liked or hated it? Let us know right now in the live chat or in the comments below, and Michael tells us, what's this show even about, by the way?
The war for Eternia begins again in what may be the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor. A new animated series from writer-director Kevin Smith. In this episode, Eternia celebrates Teela as its new man-at-arms, but the knighting ceremony is cut short when Skeletor leads a full-scale attack on Grayskull.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to think it was called Castle Gray's Cull, like Gray's Cull.
Cull.
Yeah,
but it wasn't until later that I was like, oh,
then, yeah.
Gray. Well, because they would say Castle Grayskull. So they'd be like Castle Grayskull. It was like a word. It was, you know.
Yeah, but it was a skull, though.
Yeah.
It was gray.
I didn't think about it that much.
Didn't quite connect.
I mean, I think it did eventually, but at first because they pronounced it Grayskull.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you don't know what things mean anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I just didn't really pay too much attention to it. All right, well, that's it. So now your predictions are in, and you're going to find out. You're going to start to find out if you're actually right, everybody. Now we're going to talk about what we expected versus what we got.
Expectations.
Right. What Mike said. I don't even know how to spell it. Actually, a lot of people in the chat do know how to spell that. They're pretty good at this. So look, we just compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got. Michael, what did you expect before you even watched this first episode?
I expected, you know, a lot of times when we're watching like an 80s cartoon, I expect to be disappointed from my memories as a child. And I have memories as a child of He-Man, and I really liked He-Man as a child, by the way. I think I marked it a little bit lower because the original 1980s version, because when I watched it as an adult, it was dumb and I was let down. So what I was expecting with this show was I was expecting another He-Man show, but I was expecting it to be newer and better. And I was also expecting some sort of revelation.
Okay, I could see that. And everybody, if you want to see what Michael gave He-Man, the 1980s version of the cartoon.
Well, you can hear it, not see it, because we don't like put the number anywhere on the screen.
Yeah. If you'd like to watch or view or listen to it, it is Watch the First, number 34. And it came out last November, so check it out. Darnell Davis was our guest. Let's just say I was very hurt by Darnell's number that he gave it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, Darnell, I thought we were friends. Kat, what did you expect before you watched this first episode of this show?
Well, I had no expectations because I had no idea what it was. I don't even know what He-Man is.
Oh,
I don't know. When I saw that it was just released on Netflix, when I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, this must be like a thing. This must have been popular back in the 80s. Okay. So it's like a reboot, I guess. I don't know. A sequel. Okay, see? So I came in with
That's the question,
fresh
isn't it?
eyes. Fresh eyes.
Okay, wow.
Ryan looked
Wowie.
so hurt when you were saying
Yeah.
that you didn't know
So
what He-Man was.
You never even heard of He-Man.
No.
Did you?
No.
Okay. Did you think, what kind of a stupid name is He-Man? Because I think we all thought He-Man. They're like, man is just not masculine enough. We need to call the guy He-Man, bro, dude.
He-Man.
He-Man, Mr. He-Man to you.
Mr. He-Man.
Nice. Okay. So I'll tell you what I expected. I think I don't really know what I didn't really give it too much thought because I just knew we were going to review it. I was like excited to see it, but I tried not to think about
But
it too
what
much.
made you excited though? That's the question.
Because it's He-Man, because He-Man was like my favorite cartoon as a kid. So
that's what you expected.
but I didn't, it's made by, I mean, I did expect it to be better in a lot of ways because the other one was a 80s cartoon and those are not as good when we revisit them, as you mentioned. And Kevin Smith is a smart guy that is a total nerd and likes the nerd culture. So that's a good thing. And I feel like, and I saw a trailer and it seemed like it had all of the characters. What I expected and what I knew I was going to get was the animation and the artistry of it was very similar. Like they kept the look of the characters without changing them too much. I don't want them to change the characters to look totally different. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be able to look and immediately say, whoa, that's, Fisto or whatever. That's a real guy, by the way.
Kit Fisto.
That's a Star Wars guy. Anyway, so I expected to, at the very least, like that the animation and the characters stayed true to the source material. But what did you actually get, Michael?
I got something that started out very similar to the 80s He-Man and that I was very disappointed by. But by the end was like, okay. By the end, it was okay. It wasn't your typical He-Man story. There were some major revelations, but it didn't knock my socks off.
Kat, your thoughts? What did you actually get?
Brian, you sound so deflated.
Nah, I'm tough. I'm like He-Man.
You are
That's
like
Mr. He-Man.
What I got was, again, I found it really interesting, Brian, how you said that the animation was very similar to the 1980s. See, I guess I should have added that in what I expected. I expected, oh yeah, it's going to be like a new thing. So they're going to like full CGI, all the technology thing. But it was very, very similar to what I remember 80s cartoons looking like, which I thought was really cool. And I got a story that midway through, I was like, okay, I like this. This is going somewhere. There's a little bit of story. And I like this He-Man guy. I like that he's a normal kid that turns into a whole different person. Yeah, very, very surprising. A pleasant surprise.
Oops, sorry, I was playing with my mic. Kat liked it, Michael, is what I said.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. It seems that was tough to kind of.
Maybe.
Seems like it, yeah. Boy, here comes the tough part for me, which is what I got. I got kind of a mixed bag, mostly good. What I liked was that, again, the characters were close to the source material as far as the artistry, as far as what they looked like. And so everything was, except for Tila and Man-at-Arms. Tila, they definitely made her like, bigger. And Man-at-Arms, they made him shaggier, but that could just be told from the test of time. We don't know if 5 years have gone by or whatever.
For Kat, in the original He-Man show, the guy that they called Duncan is known as Man-at-Arms.
Right. He was. We didn't even know that was his title. That's just what they called him. They just called him Man-at-Arms.
Oh.
But apparently that was just his title, and his name was Duncan. So that was all great. And I loved the action. It was almost all action, which is what I liked as a kid, was just monsters and fighting things and all the character. And there were a lot of characters involved. I liked the homage to Alan Oppenheimer. It was really cool. There was a little sneak in there. So yeah, I liked it. I'm a little concerned about where the direction of the story is going, because it seems like it's going to be about Tila leaving and doing her own kind of thing. And when I was a kid, what I liked most about it was just all of the characters, all the characters intermingling and doing, not following one person's story so much. In fact, well, we can get into that later, but yeah.
Okay.
It was good. It was good. There were a lot of good things. And it was fun to see all those characters again. That was very nice.
Did
They're
you
my
watch
friends.
more than one episode?
We can't say that yet.
Well, you're about
Yeah, you
to
should
find
know
out.
better than that.
She's trying to trick me. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about here, you guys. There's a lot to talk about. Michael, you're a little colder on this than we expected. You didn't like the almost constant action of it.
You mean most of the dumb jokes that they had? And
that was an homage to the dumb jokes from the 80s. It was all dumb jokes. But yeah, those were kind of dumb jokes.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, even like I was watching and I was like, maybe this is for kids, but then it's like Kevin Smith is writing it. Like, he's got to know that adults that watched He-Man in the 80s, like himself and us, are going to be watching this wanting a better He-Man than if we went back and watched it the 80s version, then we were let down from our childhood memories of it. He would have known that we would wanted a better version of He-Man. And here it opens up and it's just the same dumb stuff.
Yes, but I will counter. There was one funny joke, and that was when Moss Man gets burned up and Skeletor says, "Smells like pine." I was like, very good. I like that very much.
That's funny.
Very funny, Michael.
No,
Kat knows.
It's
What were you
not.
going to say about the humor, Kat?
I was going to say, yeah, I guess when I saw that it was written and directed by Kevin Smith, I assumed that the dialogue would be a little bit more leaning towards adult. I thought it would be like, like Archer, almost like not maybe that adult, but it's not. I mean, this was like
for babies.
Yeah. I thought it would be a little bit more adult.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting because it did seem like the action was more geared towards adults. It was a little bit more, I don't want to say graphic, but it was a little bit more graphic than the 80s cartoon. But the giggles, the jokes were same old, yeah. And they were not funny back then either, but you could appreciate that they were trying to be, like where He-Man would throw some guy in a tree and be like, sorry to leave you hanging, or the guy would he'd throw him in the mud and be like, you're all wet. Or I mean, it was just like, even when I was like 7, I was like, come on, guys, we're 7, we're not amoebas, we're not nematodes, dude. Jesus Christ,
We're not -5.
Yeah, but the action sequences were, a little higher than the original cartoon, right?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Or do you just want to rail on the comedy more?
I mean, yeah, I guess they're all right. I didn't hate them, if that's what you're asking. And I honestly, I've only watched that first episode of the original He-Man in recent times, so you probably went back and watched the whole series already. But I've only seen that first episode, so I don't really have a whole lot to compare it to. I don't really have much of a memory of He-Man from when I was a child, except for like playing with the Sneak Mountain toy at my friend's house because I never had it. So,
but I guess even more so than the action, what I liked about it were all of the cameos, not just the character cameos, but all of the vehicular cameos. Like there was the bad guy vehicle that has the arm that goes, like that. And there was the one guy in the flying ship, and the other one with the ship that's like a hovercraft with the things on it. And like I forgot about those things until I saw them. I was like, oh, that was that thing. And so it was really cool that someone like Kevin Smith clearly is a fan, because he really crammed in a ton of the source material, the vehicles and the characters, and brought them in even if they only had one line or one scene or something like that. So that was really cool, and I really hope to see more of that. Again, I'm a little concerned that it might be a journey series where Tila just kind of goes off and meets some friends along the way and then learns a lesson, and then whatever it happens to be, when I want to see more of it, all of this. I want to see everybody and everything fighting each other and doing that kind of stuff. But
you just saw that. That was what we got in the first episode.
I just want all that all the time.
More.
Just be happy that you got it all in the first episode.
Now
you don't have to watch more now.
I have a question, Brian, since you're the expert. I wanted to know, was this a continuation of like previous episodes? Like, is this where it left off on the series and then it's continuing? Or
no,
is this like
is a completely new series? I mean, it's considered, I think, a sequel, but it could just be considered a reboot, because it's not, there's no continue. I mean, it has the same characters and the same, character backgrounds and the same relationships. And how at the beginning when it said that these characters knew the secret, that is
only 4 others share this secret,
right? Which also ended up being a lie, because then Queen Marlena turned out that she knew. And I was like, hang on a second. As far as I know, forever she never knew. But then on top of that, they reiterated that at the beginning of this thing. I'm like, okay, that was, I actually didn't care for that. I actually thought that was just a strange, I don't even know why they added that. And I really hope later on in the series, they explain why they did that, other than just as a surprise. I hope there's a reason for it. Otherwise, it's just weird.
Right. I wonder if like later on in the original 1980s cartoon, if Queen Marlena finds out, and so maybe it's a nod to that type of thing.
Maybe. I don't remember that, but maybe.
So she didn't know originally in the original. She did not know.
Nope. The only people that knew were the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, Orko, and Cringer, the
Cringer.
Cat. Played by Stephen Root, Mike's favorite guy.
Stephen Root. Sarah Michelle Gellar as Tila. Mark Hamill as Skeletor, as we talked about before.
But who was evil-lyn?
Evil-lyn was Lena Headey. What's her name? Lannister.
Yeah, Cersei
Lannister.
Basically the best character ever written, and the best character ever performed, I think. Alicia
Silverstone as Queen Marlena.
Wow.
Henry Rollins as Triclops.
That's awesome. Oh, Henry Rollins is a musician.
Yeah. And
everybody
Dietrich Bader as Trapjaw.
I don't know who that is.
He's a guy. He was on like the Drew Carey show, and I think he did a little bit of Whose Line. Maybe I'm wrong though, but he was also in the movie Napoleon Dynamite. He played the dude who teaches Rex Kwon Do.
I don't know. So all-star cast, really cool. That was another thing that I did see what the cast was back in the day when they were first pumping this out. So that made us very excited about it. So I expected it to be good quality. I mean, Kevin Smith plus that all-star cast, we expected pretty solid quality. We're like, okay, this is going to be awesome.
What happened?
And Mark Hamill, I was happy with his Skeletor. It was a very different sounding. It wasn't like He-Man. It was like He-Man, but it was great. It still worked. It still sounded good. What do you guys think of the voiceover, the voice talent?
Blown away. I thought it was really great. I mean, I recognized some voices. And now that you have said who everyone is, I mean, that's so cool. That's awesome. Are they going to stay that way the whole series, or is that just for the first episode?
I'm pretty sure it's for the whole
thing
series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, Triclops is a liar. So we'll have to remember that. Right? Isn't he the guy you said was voiced by Henry Rollins?
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm a liar. Yeah. Okay. All right, Ryan.
It's a very good song, and everybody at home that knows the song "Liar" by Henry Rollins is like,
yeah. There's a good song, terrible joke.
No, great joke. Okay, you like the voiceover though, Michael?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I wasn't distracted by it. I actually didn't even look up the voices until afterwards, after I'd watched the episode already, and then I was like, oh. Like maybe if I would have known who the voices were before watching it, I would have been more invested in it. But as it was, they were just voices, and they did a good job. And
yeah, very little jumped out at me with the voices, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, because like you're saying, like if you don't notice it, then they're doing their job.
Right.
I would have liked a stronger sounding voice for Tila to match the character, because she's kind of big and strong and kind of had like a smaller voice. I noticed that a little bit. And I also noticed Man at Arms had a slightly different voice than I was expecting, but I grew to like it a lot. And I don't know who did that. And again, Skeletor was a little different at first. It kind of took me aback a little bit, but once I got used to it, I liked it a lot.
Man at Arms is played by Liam Cunningham.
Yeah, who's that?
What's his name? The Onion Knight from Game of Thrones.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah, I recognized him. That's who I recognized.
Oh, that's so good. Because
Davos Seaworth.
Yeah, Sir Davos.
Davos.
Because his voice sounded familiar, and I couldn't place it. But then like as it progressed and I heard him more and more, I just started really liking it. It started to really fit Man at Arms almost better than the original Man at Arms, that even though it was kind of a different feel. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. 2 Game of Thrones people. I had forgotten. Wow. Really cool.
2 Game of Thrones, a Star Wars.
Michael, you, if I remember correctly, when we did He-Man the first time, you defended Orko and Orko's comedy. I never liked Orko.
I don't think I defended Orko. What I remember saying is that I liked Orko as a kid, and now I thought he was dumb. And
which one was that one?
The little floating magician elf guy.
Cute. Yeah, he was so cool.
He was even dumber in this show.
They gave him creepy eyes, though.
Yeah, there's something weird about him, and he was not even less funny than the 80s cartoon Orko.
He reminded me of Yoda, like the way he looked.
Michael, agree?
Nope.
But they were both very wise and small and cute.
Nope, not Orko. He's not wise. If he was so wise, why did he entrap Cringer in a bubble where he couldn't breathe?
Yeah.
His real name is Dorko.
Poor kitty cat.
there were a lot of little nods too to the original, where like Prince Adam says, "I have the power," or something like that, and he
Right.
poked. And there are a couple cute little things there also at the beginning. There was one thing I really liked, like the intercuts were really cool, about like where Skeletor grabs the sorceress or something from behind, and then Prince Adam grabs Tila from behind. There was these cool little twists. There are a lot of little twists at the beginning too, during that whole sequence, that I thought were really good. It was like a triple gotcha twist, whereas like first you think it's He-Man bringing them in, and then it turns out it's Skeletor, and then it turns out that what's his name, Clawful was evil-lyn, and then oops, it turned out that He-Man was Faker, and they kept going back and forth. And actually there was that funny moment where Skeletor's like, "I'll get you," or whatever, and then she zaps him, and that was funny. That was a funny moment.
Was it? I'll tell you a couple things that I did like. Number one, I really like that they made Prince Adam a weenie.
He was always a weenie.
No, but in the 80s cartoon, he's super buff still, just like
yeah.
He-Man. And it's just like Clark Kent, where it's like, how can you not tell that that's He-Man? They look exactly the same. They're both super buff.
Yeah.
But like in this one, Prince Adam's a little weenie, but then He-Man is like Mr. Super buff dude. And so that there's a legitimate transformation there when he has the power of Grayskull, and he has the power, and he has the power of it, and then the power goes into him, and then he shoots the power at Cringer, and Cringer becomes Battle Cat, and Cringer too is like smaller and more of a weenie, and then as Battle Cat he grows to be like a big buff cat too. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing that I liked, is there's a juxtaposition between the two characters of Adam and He-Man.
Me too.
And the other thing that I liked was, I don't know how much of this there was in the original, but there was a lot more mythology built around the Castle Grayskull.
Right.
And the Council of Elders, and it actually turned out to be like the Palace of the Elders or something like that, the Crystal Palace or something like that. And so I was kind of digging some of those details, and that's what helped me from giving this a negative score. So
have you guys ever given a negative score?
No, that is disallowed, and he knows it. He's just trying to get my scrote. Well, here's full disclosure, guys. It's time for full disclosure. I don't give a shit about Tila. Okay, I don't need to see her story or hero's journey. But here's the secret part. I never gave a shit about He-Man either. I didn't like He-Man. I didn't like Prince Adam. I didn't like Orko. I thought Cringer was dumb. I didn't care about the King and Queen. They were like cardboard. So then you might ask, well, if you didn't like any of the main characters, and I didn't really care about Tila either. If you didn't like any of the main characters, why did you like the show so much? And for me, it was the
Man-at-Arms. Got to be Man-at-Arms. You're all about Man-at-Arms.
It was just the world of all the other characters. See all these other guys. Champ Clamp, Fisto. Looks like that might be Webster, evil-lyn. All of the bad guys practically, except for Skeletor. Skeletor was kind of dumb too. But like, it was all these other characters and the world, all these other monsters and all these other stories.
Ram Man.
I had a bad experience with Ram Man. You guys have got to watch
about it.
The He-Man review that we do, where I talk about a very traumatic event happened with Ram Man. Let's just say it's just, I'm getting queasy just thinking about it. I had a very traumatic, disgusting experience with Ram.
Can you just give us a little blip, a little sample?
It has to do with mayonnaise.
Well, you just gave it away now. Anyway, check it out. You guys look at the He-Man review anyway. So that's what I really liked about it. So when I was watching this, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't need to see a Tila main character thing. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, I was like, well, I never gave a shit about He-Man either, and he was the main character back then. Really, all I care about is the world and the stories, because every episode was like, a lot of times you would meet this new tribe of people or these new people and their story, and they'd figure it out, and there'd be all these cool little things. But anyway, so in that case, it's very similar to the old He-Man.
I'm not opposed to learning more about Tila. I liked her. I liked that she was a woman in charge, of her own destiny. And she was like, F this, man. I'm going to go make it on my own. I'm this strong, independent female. And I kind of feel, I get the gist that she might go to like the dark side. She might. She's so angry that she goes dark.
Ooh, like an Anakin kind of character.
Yeah.
Well,
and
okay.
I hope He-Man comes back to life. He better come back to life.
So that's the real question here. At the end of this episode, spoilers to anybody who hasn't watched it, but if you haven't watched it, why are you even watching this?
Because this is the podcast they watch, so they don't have to watch the first episode.
Well, then I'll just tell them what happens then, so they don't have to watch it. At the end of this episode, Skeletor like opens up this inside chamber in Grayskull and exposes this orb, from which all magic and all of Eternia, the life on Eternia, springs from this one orb. And so Skeletor tries to smash the orb. He-Man absorbs all the power with the Grayskull sword. It splits in two, but then he and Skeletor both vanish. They both disappear, probably into some mystic realm or something like that is kind of what I'm thinking. And so I think that moving forward, this is where the part where we're making predictions about what's going to happen in this show moving forward. I think that it's going to show, number one, it will show a little bit of Tila's journey, but I think it will also show He-Man battling Skeletor in this mystic realm wherever they ended up.
Interesting. See, I thought that it would also be showing what happens to the bad guys now that their leader is gone and power is gone. They're just kind of like, all right, well,
yeah, that's their C story.
By the way, guys, can I tell you guys about the He-Man story I wrote for? Okay, guys, everybody at home, I'm a giant nerd, so just relax, just accept it. You don't have to be like, what a nerd, because yeah, we know, dude. Yeah, it's the same thing practically, except it was all because of evil-lyn, right? So evil-lyn comes up with this plan because in the original cartoon, Skeletor's an idiot. He keeps fucking up, and He-Man beats him so easily every time. And Skeletor was the leader. So eventually, in my story, evil-lyn kind of is like, okay, we're never going to win following this guy. So she, kind of does a mutiny where they trick Skeletor. And, they had a couple of the He-Man good guys like Ram-Man and Man-at-Arms captured already. They have Skeletor come down and they capture him and they eliminate his power. It's like this chamber where no powers can be done, right? And so then they release Ram-Man with other people. They escort him, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, point is they do that to lure He-Man and others over here, and they capture him as well. So now Skeletor, He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Orko are all captured. Orko, because I don't like them. So they're all captured. So He-Man and Skeletor are out. Same thing as this, right? They're out and they're done. And evil-lyn is kind of like leading this faction of bad guys. And she's kind of the brains of the operation that can now take everything over because He-Man's not there to protect him. And Tila ends up escaping from that battle and now has to lead the good guys. So it's not really like Tila leaving. It's Tila stays there and, kind of builds up the good guys to, save the day. And anyway, and Beastman goes up. Beastman and evil-lyn get into a fight. And so he leaves with his little crew because he's got Skeletor's Panther, and he also took over Battle Cat because he's got mind control over animals. Now that He-Man's gone, he's got mind control over Battle Cat as well. So that was a pretty badass crew, Beastman and the cats. And Sorry to put you to sleep, Michael, but
Huh? What?
that was I only
Huh?
when I watched this today, I
Oh.
was like, wait a minute. I was like, didn't I write something really similar? So I went back into my documents and I found it from July of 2017. And I was like, this is so fun. It is, Mike. Trust me. It was a lot of fun to reread just now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They
So
somehow
what do you think's
got
gonna
into
happen,
your
Kat?
mind. What?
What do you think's gonna happen with this series? Where do you think it's gonna go?
I think it's gonna follow Tila. I mean, I kind of, now that about your script, Ryan, I kind of like the idea that maybe she builds up her own army or something like that. Yeah, it's gonna, and I think her and He-Man are going to reconnect somehow. They're going to definitely reconnect, and they're going to overthrow Skeletor once and for all.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to throw this again at Michael, but here was the one difference I noticed was like in this, it starts off saying, Tila is now Man-at-Arms. She's amazing and she's great. Whereas in mine, it's like we get to watch the growth. Like I want to see a character grow into this thing rather than them saying, by the way, now this person is the best, which is kind of what they did with He-Man already, but whatever, that's a technicality. Anyway, enough about that. Let's just talk about our favorite characters. Michael, did you have a favorite character? Because this is my favorite question to ask.
Yes. If I have to choose a favorite character, even though he dies pretty quickly, I'm just gonna say Moss Man.
Yes.
I mean, in the context of this, I don't remember Moss Man if he was a guy in the 80s cartoon or anything like that. And but just he's like part of this garden that's in the middle of Castle Grayskull, underneath Castle Grayskull. And he's just like one of these cool like green man, like mythical creatures, and he grows up out of the ground, and that's a pretty cool creature to me. And I'm sad that he turned into Pine.
Well, you know who voiced him was Alan
Oppenheimer,
who did the original voice
Optimus
of
Prime, right?
Well, and in He-Man of Skeletor and of Man-at-Arms and a couple other of the guys. But so he was like the main guy, he did all the, some of the best characters in He-Man. And now he's like in his 80s. So it's really cool that they gave him an homage of like the guardian of
Right.
Castle Grayskull, because he kind of was. And anyway, I thought that was really...
And then also Ran has got to be the sorceress, because she's got all this cool magic. So
did you have a favorite character, Kat?
Yes, He-Man. I mean, it's so it's kind of like, I mean, he's just so cool. He's just such a cool guy, He's just Pipsqueak turned into the most powerful man in the universe, and you feel like he's going to save the day and fix everything, and he's such a nice guy, always there to save the day.
that's what I need. I need like a magic sword that'll just make me buff all of a sudden. Give me muscle.
Oh.
There's something else. The Thundercats one does that too, if I remember correctly.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, remember Lion-O? He's like doing this.
Yeah, but that's when he was a little kid, though. Ryan loves this picture of Lion-O playing with his sword.
It's a little strange.
And then when he does it, like it turns him into a big...
No,
it just made him
That's because he grew. That's because he grew up.
Yeah, you're right.
Now you should grow up, Ryan.
Never. Now I have to find the old and get that out of there. Okay.
I did like the cat too. What's the cat's name?
Cringer.
Did you like him better as He-Man or as Prince Adam, Kat?
I like them both equally. I think Prince Adam, he's very sweet. He's a nice guy too. And I think it's a nice kind of reflection of, go deep here, of humanity, of like how all of us, you know, are afraid of things, and we all want to have this other side of us that faces all of our fears. And it's kind of a nice reflection in that, of like, okay, like we can all have that ability if we harness our own internal powers. We can become big and strong and face what scares us.
I think that the real lesson here is that inside of every super muscular dude is a little scared weenie.
Or inside every scared weenie is a big muscular dude or lady.
That'd be outside. I don't know.
Or just powerful thing. So I guess my favorite character, while you guys were talking about that, I was trying to figure out who mine was. I think it's the same as before, which was none of the good guys or the main characters. Just like all of those extra characters where you're like, what's his story? What's her story? Who's this guy? What's that? Like, just.
But in this episode, who was your favorite one character?
I'm
is
going
the question.
to lean into who was. Okay, I was gonna say who was probably my favorite character in the story I wrote, but then I'm like, I feel like I'm talking about that too much. But it was really a fun thing to revisit when I just forgot all about it. Evil-lyn.
Yeah.
If I had to, and you know, and also the actress that plays her, Lena Headey, that definitely makes her my favorite character when I factor in the actress doing it, because she's just such a freaking genius. But yeah, Evil-lyn was cool, and it was great to see her get kicked in the stomach and fall down. And I was like, what? She just got defeated by a kick. But then when she returns to fight more, I'm like, oh, whew, thank goodness, because that was old 80s He-Man style, was like one thing. He throws them into a bog of mud, and they're like, well, I'm defeated. They can't just stand up and walk out. They're like, well, I'm done.
That's it.
Yep, I'm muddy. What can I do? I got mud on my butt.
Here's mud on your butt.
Who was your least favorite character, Michael?
Ugh. Orko.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dorko. What about you,
Dorko,
Kat?
Snorko.
I don't know. I didn't have a least favorite. I liked them all.
Yeah.
The evil characters were interesting. I didn't have a least favorite.
Yeah. See, Michael?
She liked them all the exact same equal. They're all 10s.
Yeah. I might say Orko is my least favorite too, just because he was my least favorite before.
Mm-hmm.
But I can understand the appeal, that's for sure. He's different than all the other characters. He and Cringer are kind of like comedic relief. And Adam's kind of a wiener.
Well, when I was a kid, I liked him because he did magic. He's kind of like an elf, and he had magic, and so I was a dumb kid too. I like stupid jokes, and so that's why I liked him as a kid. Obviously, rewatching even the '80s one as an adult, I was like, man, this guy's an idiot and stupid, and his jokes are dumb, and even worse,
I feel attacked.
Even more in this reboot. Yeah. Reboot sequel.
How cool was it that they added Skeletor having purple fireball flames? I thought that was a really cool thing to give him like a theme, like his color is purple, and it looks like in this He-Man's color is yellow. And so everything that Skeletor did was like purple, purple fireballs, purple lightning, purple magic. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I thought it was really cool. Great addition.
I didn't know that wasn't in the original.
Well, then, something else that I noticed was when the sorceress said, "To see you one more time," to Teela. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So that the sorceress is Teela's mom, right?
Yeah, I liked that. I like that little twist. Because she said she was an orphan, right? In the beginning?
Yeah,
well,
Man-at-Arms took care of her. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she did say that.
I thought Man-at-Arms was her dad, though.
That's what we always were told, I think, in the 80s cartoon, but they never said biological father. So in this, they aren't necessarily contradicting. They're just saying, yeah, turns out she was an orphan and he just took care of her. Yeah, good catch, Kat. But then, does that mean if she's an orphan, is Man-at-Arms really her dad? Sorry, Duncan. Is Duncan really her dad and just said she was an orphan? Or is the sorcerer, because then who's her dad? Sorceress is the mom.
Yeah.
Who's the dad?
And his sorceress is her mom. Was it like a virgin birth, like Anakin Skywalker? Is the only one that I can think of.
I don't know, but I think that would be a cool thing to follow Tila's story on, is when we find her father and find out what happened with her mother. That's cool stuff, because that's like just expanding the world. You know, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely, because it could be an evil. It could be an evil side.
Yes, that's what we like. Any other thoughts, Michael? Because I got like a million.
All right, list them off right now. 1 to 1,000,000.
Okay. Oh, it was kind of funny when Adam said no more bubbles, but Orko disappeared anyway. He's like, I'll protect her in a bubble. He's like, no more bubbles. Ah.
You think that was funny?
It was funny for this. Yes, for this show. I was like, okay, that one was less bad. I noticed Skeletor was less stupid in this version, and everybody was less stupid basically in this, because that was Kat, that was the thing with He-Man, the original one, was that Skeletor was dumb. All of the bad guys were dumb. They looked cool, they had cool backstory, and you're like, wow, this is going to be such a great clash. And then they would just be idiots. They would be defeated so easily. So I thought it was really cool that they stepped it up, and you know, they didn't just get defeated with one kick or one punch or one trick or get scared away by a shadow or whatever. It was, you know, that was, thank goodness they did that much better. I don't know, there was just a lot of stuff that was added that was just, the quality was improved in every way, I think, but they kept everybody looking the same and having the same kind of relationship for the most part. Was that 1 million?
Almost. That was like half a million.
Okay. Well, Kat, as you take a sip from your beverage. Oh, one final thing. Here was a final note. And you mentioned it, Kat. You brought it up. I think you did. That Tila was very angry and hurt and upset when she stormed off. But my question is, how was she more upset than King Randar, who was also betrayed by everybody, keeping a secret from him, but he also lost his son, and he also lost the guardian of his city or his country or whatever it is, and he also now needs to figure out, how is my village going to survive now that his protector is gone, and his wife lied to him. I'm like, all of these things happen, and he's just like, this sucks, you know? Whereas Tila's like, fuck all you guys, I hate all of you. And he's like, well, I'm not as mad as that, but I am disappointed, you guys.
I mean, he was upset. He was upset. He cried.
But he's also king. So he's got to maintain a certain air of authority. And so he has to be stoic about it, and he can't break down like Tila can. She can just storm off and go have her own story.
She's the new Man-at-Arms. She needs to also, you know.
But she quit. She quit. That's why she quit.
Yeah. She's
no longer a man-at-arms. Now she's a woman at legs.
A woman at large. All right. Anyway, Kat, it is so good having you back. Let's talk about you for a little while, shall we? You've been very patient talking about a cartoon that you've never even heard of. So you've been super busy filming, and rather than asking about it, can you just tell us all about it?
We've been trying to get her to come back on the show, and she's like, I'm so too busy for you guys.
I have been super, super busy. The show that I've been kind of talking about, you know, the past couple of months, we shot about 3/4 of it a couple weeks ago. And I wrote it, I produced it, and I starred in it. And holy moly, was it a lot of work.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute TV pilot called Elisa's Almost 30. I'll put the IMDb page below in the link so you guys can check it out. We're going to release it all on like Deadline and Variety in the next week or so because we've got some celebrities in it.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us any names, or is that a
Sure.
secret?
So Ryan Carnes plays the male lead opposite myself, who's been in Desperate Housewives and General Hospital. Manon Matthews, who's like a celebrity Viner.
Yeah, we know Manon.
Plays my roommate. And we have Salita Ebanks, who's a former Victoria's Secret model, playing my best friend. We have Matt McCain, who's been in all the Judd Apatow films like Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. And yeah, that's pretty stellar lineup. And Raquel Gardner, who's an industry veteran, is directing it. And we have an Emmy award-winning director of photography. So it came together pretty amazing. Like the footage is unbelievable. I can't wait to share it. It's coming together so amazing. But yeah, I'm so excited about it.
Wow. And we can't wait to see it or find out more information about it. Yeah, we'll definitely include some links in the description box below. Kat, you'll hook us up with the IMDb page for sure. That's really cool. Can you tell us one thing that really surprised you about you? Something you didn't expect, whether it was like a shockingly good performance, was it something that you hadn't accounted for where you're like, I had no idea this was going to be so difficult with this, or was there a big surprise that
my God, there's probably a million, like you, Ryan, noticed me for He-Man. There's a million things. I will say the funniest thing that happened is there's a shot where after I get broken up with by my boyfriend, I get an alert on my phone and it's like 30 days until 30. And I'm like, and I throw my phone, just violent reaction, into a bush. And so I run into a bush and then I fall into the bush. But Raquel had this fantastic idea of the camera tracking me. And as I'm like reaching into the bush, you can see up my skirt a little and you can see that I'm wearing granny panties. And so one of the production assistants had to go to Target and buy some granny panties for me.
That's pretty funny.
So that was pretty funny. That was unaccounted for. That was spur of the moment.
Especially for the poor PA that has to just check out with these. Yes, it's this. Just buying this for
my grandma.
Another positive thing performance-wise as an actor, like really just connecting to the role so completely was so freeing, and like working with people that allowed me to do that. Like, I feel like I gave the best performance that I've ever given in anything that I've ever done because of like just the commitment to the character and everyone else's commitment to their characters. I'd never really experienced that on set where I was like, okay, I've heard about this, where, actors get so into it that it's like, you're not even acting, it's like, it becomes real life. And I actually experienced that. And it was like a really big breakthrough for me. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this every single time I perform. I've been, reaching for this and I finally hit it. So that was exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's all really cool. And I bet there's so many more awesome stories, and you're going to tell us all about them at some point. But for now, everybody, the links will be in the description box below. So you're just going to have to find out for yourself, guys. Sorry. Mike's going to hook that up. And so check out Kat and follow her on social media and follow her projects and support all of that good stuff. And now it's time for Michael's favorite part of the day, when he does the karate chop, the bottom line.
My favorite part is the synopsis, but I do like karate chopping too.
I think you need a sound effect to go with that.
Also known as the Terrible Twos. Everybody calls it the Terrible Twos, except for Michael. It's the final two questions of the show, the two most important questions. let's just jump right into it because we're almost out of time.
Luckily, I'm also the one who edits the video, so I just title it The Bottom Line. So,
okay. So, question number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what would you rate Masters of the Universe, Revelation, The Power of Grayskull? The Power of Grayskull.
Grayskull.
do you really want to know?
I have to know. I don't. I do kind of want to know. I think. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was not that impressed with it. I was not that excited by it. Obviously, like as much as Ryan was. I did think that there was some cool mythological stuff surrounding the Castle Grayskull, and so that's what bumped it up above a 5.
Whoa.
And so I'm giving it a 5.9 because I just could not bring myself to give it a 6. But it wasn't. It ended interestingly.
Wow, that was better than I expected from you, Michael. Much better. You gave us a bait and switch there. You tricked us. Kat, what would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I, like Michael, liked it more than I thought I would. So I will mirror his score and raise him just slightly into a 5.99999.
Okay.
5.9 infinity.
Well, here's the big surprise, guys. I am going to have the highest score of the 3 of you.
What?
I know. Not that high. I'm giving it a straight 7. Every time
Yeah.
I thought about it, everything I thought about just kind of kept bringing me back to a 7. I thought the writing was about an 8. The idea of having Skeletor and He-Man is a great idea. Again, speaking of bait and switch, it was kind of a bait and switch where you're like, Masters of the Universe. Just kidding. It's just Tila's story or something, it goes off. But then I started thinking, how cool would it be if like then they do that and then season 2 is like, a Ram Man's story, and then season 3 is, and then it really gives us a chance to get more in depth behind all of these characters. And I think that's really cool. And Tila is one of the main characters. She was one of the maybe 3 or 4 main characters in the series, and she's well beloved and a great character. So I think that is definitely the right choice. If they were going to do that kind of direction, I think she was the right choice in where to start. Although I would have loved to start with evil-lyn or Skeletor personally. 7, straight down the side. But the final question is, now that, let's start that over. Take 2. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch Masters of the Universe Revelation, but now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, yeah, maybe. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the 2nd episode?
Well, man, I was watching this and I was like, ugh, I'm not interested in this at all. And then the ending came and they left us on a cliffhanger. And just only because the only reason that I'm giving this a yes is I'm very interested to see more of this mythology surrounding the Castle Grayskull, which is now transformed into some kind of crystal palace. And then my theory is that He-Man and Skeletor were transmitted to some kind of mystic realm, and I want to see that realm. And so that's why I would give the 2nd episode a chance.
Wow. Kat, what about you? Would you watch the 2nd?
She did.
I doubt it.
Probably not.
Oh,
I mean, I like what you said, Michael, about the cliffhanger and wanting to find out more. I don't know if maybe if I was like sick and there was nothing on TV and it was like, okay, I'll play this while I'm in my pajamas and laying on the couch.
As long as
There's-
there's nothing else on any other streaming at all that you've not seen before.
But she's saying there's a chance.
There's
But that's but that's still a no. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a no.
Okay. Well, no surprise. I could have given this a 2 and probably would have wanted to see the rest just because I want to, I want to learn more about that world and I want to see more of those characters. And I want them to bring in more characters than just the ones in the first episode. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure some of them will be characters that did not exist before, because if we are right that Tila's going off on her own adventure, that means she's going to be meeting new characters and she might be running into old ones that we recognize. But regardless, I'm going to watch this thing. It doesn't matter. They could have just written, a rerun of Happy Days with these guys. And I'd be like, I'm going to watch it. I don't care. So easy yes from me.
Big surprise is there.
Yeah, that's no chance I was going to watch the second.
Well, I think I was right. I think my streak I've come out of my dark spot.
Yeah, the comeback kid.
I think I was pretty spot on today.
Very good. Very good. I think we were all, pretty close. All right. So I think that's about it, right, Michael? Everybody at home, please, in the comments below, tell us what you'd like us to review. You could say WTF She-Ra.
She-Ra, I knew you were going to say that.
By the way, yeah, if you like the Masters of the Universe and He-Man, but you want a female-driven story, She-Ra is that. It takes place in Masters of the Universe and Eternia, right? And it's the story of She-Ra. So we'll check that out at some point if you tell us to. WTF She-Ra. And there's also a remake of it from like a few years ago that I haven't seen. So that's another thing. So let us know the 80s version or the remake version, or if there's something else we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. What I'm trying to say is
My Little Pony.
Yeah, but they got to say it 10 times for it to work. What I'm trying to say
My Little Pony, My Little Pony, My Little Pony
is this podcast was, I'm going to say, a revelation, right? That's an easy one.
No. This podcast was all about Mr. He-Man, if you please.
This podcast was a learning experience.
Well, everybody at home, thank you for your support. Like, subscribe, and always remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, Esquire, likes to say.
Don't forget, watch the first of things. And also, before that, register to be an organ donor.